Being able to stay intensely focused when you're studying is almost like a superpower, because someone who is trained on how to study with extreme focus often has to only study half the number of hours as someone who, when they study, they keep zoning out and getting distracted, right? So we're facing this kind of focus epidemic where productivity is suffering due to the constant distractions we're faced with, not just daily, but on a minute by minute basis. Whether it's checking social media, opening a new tab and browsing the internet, checking emails, or receiving notifications on our phones. Again, it's this idea of studying smart, which I talk about a lot on this channel for good reason, because it's important. This idea that you should be aiming to reduce the number of hours you're studying by studying smarter. But one of the most important things you need to do to be able to achieve this is what author Cal Newport calls deep work. And I read this book maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, but I definitely recommend it. This concept of deep work is about simply being able to work or study completely uninterrupted, where you're 100% focused on the task at hand. Now, obviously, that's easier said than done, right? So in this video, I'm going to go through several ways in which I'm able to reach this kind of state of intense focus when working, and hopefully will give you some ideas on how you can improve your focus too when you're studying. Study in short bursts. This is something that I've been thinking about quite a lot recently. So most people just work for 8 hours, right, from 9 to 5. But just a few months ago, I started breaking my work day into 3 chunks. I'd work for a few hours in the morning, a few hours in the middle of the day, and a few hours in the evening. And those work chunks would be separated with rest time. So I'd go to the gym, I'd do smaller tasks like grocery shopping, that kind of thing. And by doing that, instead of trying to get all my work done within one work session of like 9 or 10 hours, I'd spread it out throughout the day. So it gives my brain time to rest and recover, because depending on what study you read, the brain can only stay fully focused for 20 to 45 minutes at a time, and after that we start to slowly lose focus. So I used to work from about 8 AM to about 6 PM every day, because that's kind of how society has trained us, right? 9 to 5 working hours has been generally accepted worldwide, but for me at least, since changing to 3 work chunks spread out throughout the day, so working a few hours in the morning, a few hours in the afternoon, and a few hours in the nighttime, rather than doing all my work in one go, it has significantly improved my ability to focus and enter into this state of flow, because I'm not feeling as much fatigue as I was before. And I know that I just need to stay 100% focused for a few hours, and then I can have a fairly long break to rest and recover. So I talk about this strategy in way more depth in the Transform Your Grades course. I've just added 2 mini courses to it. So one on how to significantly boost your productivity, and another on how to beat procrastination. I'm constantly improving the course and adding to it and just making it better for you guys. There's a link in the description below if you want to check it out. Mindfulness. So obviously distractions are a major issue when it comes to extreme focus. Alongside procrastination, it's up there as one of the biggest obstacles that students face. So how do you combat this? And how do you stop yourself from getting distracted all the time when your mind just wants to wander somewhere else? And this is where mindfulness can really help. So mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings. So the first step to stopping yourself from getting distracted is actually realizing that you're getting distracted, right? Sometimes it can be really easy to be studying, then you open a new tab and start procrastinating on something completely different, but we don't even realize that we're doing it. We're almost in a zombie-like state of procrastination. So your mind needs to be in the present, with your mind relaxed and focused on the work in front of you. And this is where meditation can be really powerful. So I started meditating around 2017, 2018, and when you meditate, your mind just naturally starts to wander, and you start to think about everything and anything. It's just natural. It's what your mind will automatically do if you sit there essentially doing nothing. But what meditation teaches you is that when your mind starts to wander, you just slowly, calmly bring it back to the meditation. No judgment, no pressure, no stress. Just calmly bring your concentration back to the meditation. And after a while of meditating, you get really good at just kind of bringing your mind back into focus. And it's the same principle with your studying. When you're studying and you realize you're starting to get distracted, you just calmly and patiently bring your mind back to the task in front of you. And the more you do it, you'll realize that the better you'll become at staying focused for longer periods of time. But yeah, mindfulness is huge when it comes to being able to stay focused. Choose one task. So there's two kind of directions that you can take your studying. The first is what I call dynamic studying, and this is where you study one subject for just 1 hour, and then another subject for the next hour, and then another subject for another hour, and you just kind of keep switching it up like that. It keeps things interesting and slows down the likelihood of you getting fatigue. The problem with that approach though is that every time you switch subjects, it will take you a small bit of time to get back into the state of flow. And that's why I prefer just choosing one task and sticking with that one task until it's complete. That's when I can really get in the zone and kind of build up this extreme level of focus. And Cal Newport in his book Deep Work looks at the price of distraction in an increasingly digitized world. And he also argues that to be able to be at your most productive, we need to be in a zone of just doing one task, because multitasking just doesn't work. But often when we're working or studying, how often do we focus on just one single task without checking email, without opening another tab on your browser, without checking your social media, right? And it's this constant intrusion of technology that Cal Newport argues is frequently disengaging us from our deep focus and thought. Because if we're not thinking deeply, then we're not working deeply either, right? Become unavailable. Now this is super important. It's about priorities. If you're aiming to enter into a state of flow, then you need to prioritize your task at hand higher than everything else going on around you. All communication outside of your one single task that you're doing can wait until you're done, right? And this is where a kind of mini social media detox can help. So for me, I usually get about 3 hours of work done the first thing in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, and 3 hours in the evening. And I aim to achieve deep focus in all of these work chunks. So what I'll often do is put my phone in another room or enable the do not disturb mode, and I'll make sure that I don't get tempted by checking email on my browser. The idea is to really just disconnect from everything else. And I actually went on my first social media detox a few months ago, and it was only for 4 days, but it was the first time in years that I've not touched social media for that long, and it was incredible. It's kind of difficult to articulate, but in my mind, it was just peaceful, I guess. There was no nagging feeling that I had to check my phone. I didn't have to break my focus whenever I received a new notification. I didn't need to check my emails multiple times a day. It was just a really relaxing time, I guess. But yeah, becoming unavailable is incredibly important when it comes to deep work. And just as a side note, when you are studying with deep focus for any length of time, it's important that you do it in a healthy and sustainable way. So I made a video recently on exactly that, how I study 12 hours a day the healthy way. You can click on the pop-up banner above to watch it. Optimize your environment. Finding where you study best is an essential part of deep focus, but it's something that is often overlooked. Now, I'm not going to talk about it too much here because it's fairly obvious, right? And I've covered it quite a lot on this channel, but just super quickly, you've got to find out what works best for you. Is it the library, a coffee shop, your bedroom? Everyone has their own environmental preferences. Just try and find somewhere with as few distractions as possible. Obviously, studying in your kitchen when you have family members walking past you constantly is probably not the best option when it comes to trying to achieve deep focus. Establish rituals. So willpower will only get you so far. It will help, but you can't expect to rely on self-discipline all the time, because naturally some days you're going to feel productive and in the mood to study, and then other days you're not going to, right? But that's where establishing rituals can really help. So for me, like I mentioned earlier, I work in 3 chunks throughout the day. And that's just a habit for me. So as soon as I wake up, literally the first thing I do is I sit down at my desk and I get at least 2 hours of solid work in. And because I do it every day, it's just a habit now. I don't even have to think about it. And in the middle of the day at about 2 p.m, I'll get another few hours done. And the same at nighttime. You see, if you study at the same time every day, it kind of trains your mind and your body that that's just what you do. At that time, every single day, you go and study. And it becomes a whole lot easier to get into the zone of studying and enter into a state of flow. Optimize your downtime. Long stretches of intense focus should be balanced with good rest. And I don't mean the kind of rest where you're just mindlessly watching YouTube videos or mindlessly scrolling through social media, because that's a kind of low value habit that doesn't really add value to your life. But I mean where you make an effort to opt for quality, engaging experiences, like pursuing hobbies, learning a new skill, reading, that kind of thing. Reaching this state of intense focus takes some effort to get going, but it's about training your brain into being able to deep focus for longer and longer periods of time. So at first it might be quite difficult, but the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And if you are struggling with distractions and self-discipline and just making yourself go and study in the first place, I made a video called 13 Ways to Be More Self-Disciplined as a Student. You can click on the card on the screen. It's probably one of my more important videos because I don't make many videos specifically on self-discipline. Alternatively, I made another video, why it's so hard to sit down and study in the first place. Again, you can click on the card on the screen, and whichever video you choose, I'll see you over there.